Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to On Point. Uh, we are doing it via StreamYard today because the weather, our crew was unable to get here this morning, so we couldn't do our regular setup. But we're glad that technology is around. Technology can sure get on your nerves, but when it's useful, it is useful. And we're just so glad that you all have joined us this morning for On Point Radio, just online today because of the weather. We hope everybody's being safe. It's cold outside. Um, we had a nice amount of snow, and I'm so glad that you're here with us. Please do us a favor and share at this time. We can't take phone calls, of course, but you can comment. We are watching the comment feed. And you can let us know your thoughts online. We can post them, put your comments up, talk about them, go over them as we go over these important topics, talking about faith, culture, life, politics, whatever, but from a biblical perspective. Of course, I'm Pastor Nick, and of course, we today we have Reverend Richard White. Y'all know him. He is with us this morning. What's up, man?
Good to see you. Good morning. Happy Saturday to everyone. Man, I was thinking about this. But you and Bishop did this for what, a year and a half or 2 years when we were in the pandemic. You did the On Point, the StreamYard for a while, right? Before you went back in the sanctuary, because first you were up top on the by the booth, then you were down front. Before a while, you were doing it like this, weren't we?
We did a few times
Yeah.
here, but it was we was booth, then we moved outside.
Right.
Then the
Right.
times when we couldn't do it live, we did it, on that format. We did it on this, and then out there in the sanctuary in the on the pool. So
Right.
yeah, it's an interesting dynamic because you don't have the phone calls, but at least again we do have the comments. We see the numbers coming up. Please do us a favor and shout us out. Let us know where you're watching from. We
Yeah.
see Lee's, California, a few other places. Please do us a favor. It's your first time watching. Type VIP in the chat. Let us know where you're watching from. If you are a normal watcher, just say hello. We love to see who is on today. Uh, it's cold. We got some football games today, and yeah, and tomorrow. It's going to be
And
good.
tomorrow.
And try to tell people earlier this season the Eagles were not as good as they looked. They
No.
were skating by, and it all those issues that they were that winning covers up. When you start playing difficult teams, it's going to show. And that 1-6 slide for some of us wasn't a surprise.
No, it's going to get exposed at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I barely watched the playoff game. I had it on in the background.
I went to bed.
You would be.
I just went to bed. I could see the replay in the morning. I could see the ESPN highlights. I knew it was going down. I just went to bed.
I was like, yeah, they're going to need some strong, experienced coordinators to help them next year, because that was horrendous.
Well, it's a shame, but that fall from grace. I mean, they say very few teams that go to the Super Bowl and lose get back
Yeah,
the next year, right? So it's tough to repeat like that because there's so much talent in the league now. But we've seen it not just with them, but a lot of other teams too. You saw a lot of coaches get the show in the door. So it's
yeah.
football. It's entertainment. That's all it
It,
is. It's
it's like
entertainment.
it's like good time, man. It was I I think they said this is only the second time you saw a team win 10 games and then just lose their last. Just, it I see for me, if it was like if it was like a strong, hard fought loss, I could take that. But for some of these ones, it was bad. But anyway,
But like you said, that 10-1 record was suspect because they were winning games at the
mhm,
last minute of the game. So it was not
mhm,
like they were blowing folks out.
yeah,
So that 10-1 could have easily been 5-5, six
yeah,
and four.
absolutely. Yep. Oh yeah, because the Chiefs game, one catch, game was over. They would have
Yeah,
won. Bills
yeah,
game,
yeah.
the receiver turned around a little, like 3 seconds earlier, game over. But it is what it is. But
You be
interesting
all
today.
right. It'll be all right.
Of course, we'll be fine. But please do us a favor and share. Hey y'all, hey Sister Brenda, what's up? Everybody from Texas, California, all over watching. We're so
Las
glad.
Vegas. Yeah.
Vegas. Um, So glad you're checking in today. We see the numbers piling up. And again, if you're first time watching, type VIP in the chat and please do us a favor and share this. Now, we had the Iowa caucus for Republicans, and I don't think anybody's surprised that Trump won it.
No,
he's been the front runner. They keep saying people had a chance, and they didn't have a chance. But what was interesting, and this is crazy, maybe you can help me out with this. So the gentleman, how you say his name, Vivek
Vashani. Yeah.
So
yeah, Vivek Vashani.
Yeah. So some Republican voters in Iowa said they couldn't vote for him because his name felt too Muslim. His race came into play, and he's still, right along with it. And these people are telling him, look, we can't vote for you because we can't accept you because of your racial history, your name. And then I was like, okay, interesting enough here. I read something yesterday that he is, of course, richer after his campaign than
he was
before.
Already rich.
He's already rich, but he's already rich. I think he said he made about $100 million, I believe.
Oh, yeah. Because he got his name out there. People know who he is now.
Absolutely. So, I mean, most of them know they're going to lose, but I wonder, you in the business world, if I stand to make 20 to 50 to 80 million dollars, I'll run for president
and lose.
Yep.
Knowing I have no shot. And guess what? And if I put my support behind this guy and he wins, he's going to give me a place in his cabinet because I supported him, and I'm going to make more money.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just like Tim Scott. Tim Scott, who's from South Carolina, is putting his. I saw it last night. Is putting his support behind Trump, and Nikki Haley's from South Carolina.
Absolutely. Yep. It's
why?
Like, right. Ride the wave of power.
Yeah.
Ride the wave of who's going to get you in there.
Yeah.
If you can get on that bandwagon and you can make some money from it, get some opportunities from it, which again tells they're saying the quiet part out loud is really not about the people. It's not about us.
Right. And when people show you who they are, this is what I think folks miss in this whole political season. When folks show you who you are after you've done your research, believe it. Don't go by what anybody else said. Let's just watch what they do. They show you who are. Don't think they're going to be different for that for you, right? And a lot of times folks don't do that. But I also think that Vivek and Tim Scott and not so much former governor here, what was his name, Chris Christie, but they're looking for who we don't know who the vice president is going to be yet. We don't know how he's going to play that card, right? So would he put Tim Scott as vice president? I don't know. He's not going to put Vishami. I don't think he's going to Viviswamy as the vice president, but we don't know. But there are still going to be a cabinet cleaning, and he'll want to, potentially put some of those folks in those positions.
Absolutely,
if he wins.
Totally agree. I don't know if his Trump's, if like him and Nikki Haley ticket would work because she demands a lot of attention too. Pence was pretty quiet. But what's interesting to me about
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think what was interesting with her, especially with her racism, her America's never been racist comments. I mean, if it was a racist, why don't you use your full name?
That's
don't
right.
Go by your full name.
It's an Indian name, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Tell the truth that your dad had to teach at a HBCU because he couldn't get into PWIs. But let's ignore all that. I didn't know she was Indian until a couple of years ago. I thought she was just, a white woman that had
from the South, from South Carolina.
That's what I assumed.
That's right. No, she's Indian.
Yeah, and you're basically passing.
That's right.
If it wasn't
that's
racist,
different.
Yeah, run for who you are, run as you are.
Born as you are. Exactly. Yeah. All that comes out in the wash. It's just going to be interesting to see. What I don't understand is if there's already been a Supreme Court intentional ban on abortion, right? And left it up to the states. Here's a question for you. You're a political wizard. If Trump is positioning the Supreme, appealing to the Supreme Court about these states leaving him off the ballot, isn't there already precedence from what the Supreme Court did and pushed, say, abortion is illegal, but we leave it to the states? So how can he then appeal to the Supreme Court about keeping them on the ballot? Are they going to leave it with the states? Because there's already precedence for doing that.
Absolutely. And see that's the thing that's going to get us, that we see the contradiction in politics. Is they'll say, well, that was precedent for that, but
Yeah.
what's precedent for a presidential campaign?
Yeah, exactly.
So they'll find a way to draw a line.
They'll find a way to draw a line.
Absolutely.
Find a way to draw a line.
Now, I mean, my thing is, Republicans always talk about big government, small government. They're big government when it suits them. Then it becomes states' rights any other time. But when they need it, they're big government. But they don't call it that. So I don't know. I mean, Trump got what, 3 Supreme Court? Was it 3 or 2?
Yes, 3. He got 3. Biden has gotten 1. Yeah, he got Kavanaugh. The what is her name? Then he got 2 men and 1 woman, right?
I believe.
Was it 2? Yeah.
It was Kavanaugh. The lady with the blonde hair. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if he's hoping to appeal to those 3 and a few other people, pull the favor. I got you in here. And
that's why he's going to the Supreme Court. Of course he is.
Yeah, so he was good here. But I mean, we need strong people.
Yeah.
Who stand up for, like, to me, I am not and I've publicly said this for a long time. I'm not a 2-party person per se. I can vote third party if it's the right person. We gotta, to me, there's some way we gotta break this 2-party monopoly. And I mean, I'm saying all that to say that there has to come a time where people are strong enough to say what's best for the democracy. So for me, sitting out of this election, what do you get? Trump.
Right.
You need people that are going to be strong enough to say, no, this is what it is. We're not going to let him run. Mm-hmm. If it was any other candidate, I'd be like, whatever.
Right.
But what we saw the first time, do we want a repeat of that?
Right.
Again, and we need politicians, Supreme Court, say, you know what? This particular campaign has appealed to a certain base, which led to an insurrection at a Capitol building. Do we want to go through that again?
Yeah, and how soon people forget. I mean, I was talking to Lisa last night. I was saying, if he wins, you throw his report behind whoever you want. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but it just doesn't feel. We were in Europe when he won last time, and we could see from abroad what was happening. You could see an undercurrent of things happening. It's really about all the stuff that has happened illegally. How can we? We are number one free world in the free world, and we're perpetuating a look as if we have no clue of what's going on. And how can we uphold democracy when we're belittling democracy in our own country?
Yeah.
And we're supposed to be the example for it. And I was reading something and it said, people say, well, I don't know who I'm voting, because people are going to say who they're going to vote for. They're going to go in and they're going to say, I'm going to vote, and I'm about to vote for so-and-so. And then they go in the booth and vote for him. Yep. And then they say, oh, I am going to vote for so-and-so. They go in the booth and don't vote for him. So it comes down to, personally, it's not a person doing what they can. It's a person doing what they must, regardless of what the consequences are.
Absolutely. A backbone. But I still think power and money are alluring, and people will do anything to have that power, have that influence, have that money. I mean, To me, that's the only thing it can be. It's just like you said. I know I'm going to lose, but I'm gonna jump in here, get my name out there, just to see where it's going to take.
Right. And it's never really about, I was talking to somebody this week, the power and money drives it, but it's not about the money and it's not about the power to the extent that they already have money and they already have power. It's just that they want more than that person, or they want more than that person. So they kind of get. And it's, you don't need it. My dad used to tell me when I was a kid, you don't need nearly as much as you think you need. And he's right. To live happily.
Yeah. But see, that's contentment. But to me, and I'm not trying to label all billionaires and people that are, in those stratospheres of power. But to me, a lot of them, the only way they can get there is to have a level of greed about them where they're never satisfied.
Right.
They're never happy. That's how you can get a CEO that makes $3 billion a year tell a worker that they're being greedy, asking for a 10% raise.
Yeah.
It's like do the math here. Like, it's easy for you walking around with a private jet. And I'm not against people making a lot of money. Make all the money you want. But understand that these working class people that work for you are helping you, are the reason why you're making all this.
Yeah. And I know that whole space. So it's what it is. It's the American way. It's capitalism at its best. But is there an inherent caring for the folks that are there? Is there an inherent caring for the people that are helping to do what it is you're trying to do? Or does it pain you when you have to make adjustments in an environment that affects people's lives? When you've had to shut a site down, when you've had to lay folks off, which I've had to do, if it doesn't pain you,
right,
then your priorities aren't right. Now, sometimes you do what's best for the entity so that it survives, and it comes at a cost of this, but it shouldn't be, right.
Yeah. I mean, to me, as Bishop says, you can have capitalism with compassion. I'm all for you. Make all your money. And I get business, you got to make some difficult decisions sometimes. And I'm not against those difficult decisions. I think it's the overwhelming amount of greed that some people have. Like, I was just reading something where oh my goodness, I meant to put it on a thing, but I forgot, where it talks about how a certain wealth group, they have like $3.9 trillion of unpaid taxes that they don't have to pay because they found all these loopholes in the system. Where and again, I'm not mad about if you have certain liberties. My problem is those liberties aren't extended to the people that $200 extra a week will change a lot of their life.
Will mean something big.
Exactly.
And the $200,000, $5,000 more a week to somebody that's making millions and billions of dollars is not going to change their life.
No, not
in any way.
But
if you're sitting on $1 billion and you got to pay $20 billion in taxes, actually, if you're making $1 billion, you're going to have to pay about $500 million in taxes. It's not going to change your life.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of money, but you're right. What your dad told you was right. You don't need as much as you think you need.
No.
Happy. And again, I'm not against that. Look, make all the money you want. I'm not anti-billionaire. I'm not anti-wealth. My thing is have it, and you can pull people up with that at the same time too.
And folks that have done very well, know that you can. The Bible's very clear. You can gain the whole world and lose your soul. You can have everything, but if you are lost at the core of your body, it's all for naught. It doesn't mean folks that have been Christian, that are Christian, that have backslidden, or that have gotten caught up into the world of gain and get it, and then they look and they say, but my relationship with God is not where it should be, or it's artificial. All of that stuff it means absolutely nothing when you
Absolutely.
come back to the realization of what you've lost in God.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
it's it's important to stay for folks to stay grounded regardless of where they are. And I've seen more happy broke folks than I have happy wealthy people.
Absolutely. I think they did a
And
study
I've
on
had
that. Yeah. No, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
no, I've been, the company that I keep, I've seen a lot more not happy wealthy people than I've seen broke or just making it folks that they happy, their family's good and their family's around them and they're able to live, and they take it for what's really important in life.
Yeah. I think they did a study on that years ago, how a lot of wealthy people are battling depression, battling all this stuff. And folk that don't have much, like you said, they got a bunch of joy. They got, I think it puts things in perspective. That money is
That's
important.
right.
I am not
It
saying
is.
money's not. It is
No,
important.
I ain't gonna say that.
Right, right. I mean, being broke is not something I want to be. I did.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
But like you said, your dad, that what your dad said was profound. You don't need as much as you need to show you what's really important. I remember
Hmm.
listening to a lady. She was making. I mean, she was easily making a couple $1,000,000 a year,
Hmm.
and doing a seminar. And as she was talking, I'm like, yo, she is bitter. It was coming out. I mean, no, I'm
Yeah.
not talking about like little slide innuendo. I mean, it was clear as day,
Hmm.
spending money to make herself feel better, but she just wasn't better. And I'm like, wow, because you would think the success, the money will make them happy. But if you're extremely wounded,
Hmm.
something Bishop been talking about in Bible study, if you got a lot of wounds, but you got stuff, buying a new pair of clothes is not going to make you happy or make you feel fulfilled. It's not
Hmm.
going to happen.
It's not gonna happen. It's a shell. It's just a shell. It's a covering, and you got to start peeling that stuff off so you can get to the core of what's going to make you happy. And when you start saying, "Well, I don't need that, and I don't need that, and I don't need that," I can get it, but is it better off me helping this person over here? Is it better off me, you know, giving more to a particular charity that I have a passion for? How can I go help some? How can I make somebody else's day better? Thing I like about Shaq, he said, I heard him say, I get up in the morning, think about how can I make somebody happy today? I
Mm-hmm.
don't need nothing. How can I make somebody happy today? That's
Yes.
what he gets up with in the morning. It wasn't
Yes.
nothing about him.
Yeah. And those people that give a lot, that have money,
Mhm.
they're a lot more content, more relaxed, happier people because, like you said, their priority is not
To
themselves.
help somebody, not the party's
Else.
not themselves, and so that's real, and that doesn't negate the struggle because you and I know because we've seen it, we've been there. The struggle is real when you have to go without.
Yeah.
Um, and we can talk about how we've seen folks that are struggling happy, but we've seen folks that are struggling.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a very robust benevolence in the history of our church, and we know what it's like for folks to be in need
Mm-hmm.
and want to make sure that we don't we're not minimizing that. We're just saying there's a lot of folks. This thing of greed does necessarily it does perpetuate itself in the society in which we live, and
Absolutely.
it's not what God would have us to be.
Absolutely. And bringing up the next point, kind of moving into this next part, is there are states that are rejecting federal money that's going to help kids during the summertime. It's going to help them eat. All because, not two things. This is the crazy part. All because it's coming from a Democratic president. The second reason is because they say because the state has to pay, I think, like one state was getting like almost $18 million, right, to help kids eat during the summertime. It's going to cost the state $300,000 to staff it, etc., to make it work.
Hmm.
They're complaining about the 300,000, not looking at the 18 million that's going to come in, feed these kids, and help them pay for the program.
Mm.
But if you, to me, if your ability to help people is based off political lines and who's doing it, something's wrong. We saw Florida; they rejected money to help people with air conditioner heaters because the federal government had like a thing to help them
Hmm.
replace them.
Hmm.
They rejected the money.
Hmm.
So now people got to come out of their own pocket just alone when the government was setting up things to help these people who are in need.
Yeah.
But again, goes back to politics and who's bringing it.
Who's bringing it?
I don't care who's bringing it. Is it being brought?
Yeah, that's the main thing. It needs to be brought. Folks don't know, but I sit on the board of the Low Country Food Bank because I work in Charleston. I'm back and forth to Jersey on the weekends, and the money that comes in. I like to know what state that is because I'll take it. We'll take it. We'll take it. We'll take it. We're all doing it because we have those same we have a backpack buddies program where we're allowing kids that don't have food to take food home on the weekends. And in the summertime, they're able to come in and get food. And that's all through funding and personal donations. But you're right, to not use something that is being offered because of, number one, the way where it's coming from and because of what you may have to pay on that is it's madness. It's madness because when you work in a food bank, and I've worked with Phil Abundance here in Philly, the South Jersey Food Bank here, and where I have a passion for these food banks. There is absolutely no reason for anybody in this country that be hungry. You know how much food is thrown out? I mean, its statistics are just crazy. So nobody should be hungry. Nobody should be hungry. And it's crazy that folks are actually hungry. And if you know what it's like to be hungry, I don't. I can't say I know what it's like to be hungry. I can't imagine what it would be like because I like to eat. So, but nobody should be hungry in this country that we live in.
Absolutely. And that it's Nebraska, Mississippi, and Iowa so far are rejecting federal money to help feed kids during the summer. Like you said, they'll set up those places in the schools or whatever, and the kids can come grab lunch. I mean, we talking about food here.
It's food. We're food. You've
been in big business way longer than I have, and you got more experience. But to me, a state's budget, $300,000 is probably a blip on the state's budget.
It's nothing.
They probably go through that. Yeah, that's probably not. Yeah.
And these states, I can tell you for sure, maybe not Mississippi, but I'm pretty sure Nebraska and Iowa have budget surpluses.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But, so it's not like it would hurt them because they have a budget surplus already.
Oh yeah.
They got money they're not spending.
Thank you. It was Bishop called a good use of funds.
Yeah.
They don't see it as a good use of funds. That 300,000 go towards, whatever.
It's a proper use of funds. It's just a proper use of funds.
Yeah. Because I know was it Minnesota? They committed. I think it was Minnesota. They committed to feeding all their kids lunch, even during school time too. The state takes care of the lunch for the kids because again, they're like, how are the kids going to learn if they hungry throughout the day? If their parents are struggling to feed them? We talking about food here. We ain't talking about buying them a car, a cell phone,
Jordans, and nothing like that. We're talking about basic food. And somebody put in the comments that what's more pro-life than feeding folks. If you're of the conservative notion and you're pro-life, you should want to feed folks, right? That's pro-life. That's a beautiful statement, Sips Crawford.
Absolutely. They are pro-birth. They are not pro-life.
That's a good call. That's actually just crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's like get them in the world, but once they're in the world, you on your own. And
that's like having somebody join the church and say, okay, come on in. Once you're here, that's like if we had folks come join the church, and once they come in, they say, okay, you're good. We don't put them through no classes, we don't give them no training, we don't show you how to do. There's the thing that food banks do. They're not only feeding folks, but they're trying to collaborate with other organizations to help the socio-economic foundation of what folks need in terms of education, in terms of how to manage bills, in terms of how to get assistance. It's a feeder to other avenues of offerings that the states provide. So you're hungry, but I can't tell you about how to go to school or how to help pay your bills if you're hungry.
Yeah.
Because you're not thinking about those things. You're thinking about getting some need.
Absolutely right. Yeah. You're hungry.
I'm hungry. Yeah.
I mean, but again, we'll spend $20 million on a weapon for war, but won't spend, X, Y, and Z. To me, no schools in this country should be crumbling. No reason why books should be old. No reason why there shouldn't be lunch provided for these children. Because because I think that they go back to that lie. If you live in America, you should be able to make it like everybody else. But the only way capitalism works is you have some people that are in poverty. That's the only way capitalism works.
Right.
There's no other way than to have a impoverished crowd, a middle class crowd, and then an upper middle class and a wealthy crowd.
That's right.
And you're not trying to pay.
And we know there's
yeah.
And we're not saying anything that, and to that point though. I mean, I forget where the scripture is, but it does say that there will always be poor among us, right? So it's not that we're saying we want to perpetuate the position of the poor, but if there's always going to be poor among us, it's because they're there, and if we have something to give them, we should be helping them out. You know, that's when the benevolence comes in, right? Because there's always going to be poor. They're always going to need our help.
Yep. Something I've been looking at this week: compassion in Scripture is demonstrated love. It's more than just a feeling. It's a demonstration to do it. But if you don't have love, you can't have compassion.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, you can go ahead and expound on that one.
Yeah, I mean, you look it up. Love leads to compassion, because compassion is mercy, compassion is love based, it's inward feelings, but compassion is demonstrated. It's the demonstration it's revealed in the actions to help somebody else out.
Mm-hmm.
But again, how was they like the Grinch? If your heart's too small, you're not going to care about.
Care about it.
Yeah,
Right.
if you have no love, you have no compassion.
Right. And we all go through things, Pastor Nick. You've been through things. I've been through things. And the one thing I know for sure is that when I'm going through something, if I still have time and make time to help somebody else out, it's helping me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's helping me, because you can see that if you can see somebody else in need when you going through something and you're able to satisfy that need, it does something to your spirit, and it helps you. It fills you up with something that you're not doing it for you, you're doing it for them, but by doing it sincerely for them, it helps you.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. When I was hungry, you fed me. When I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. Y'all come on in. God is looking for demonstrated compassion from us. Not, I feel bad for that person.
Right.
Me bad for that person should move me to do something to help that person.
Right. It's not a sympathy or a pity. It's a compassion, like you just said. It's a compassion to do something for everything else.
Yeah.
And many times when we're going through things and we don't understand, what's the thing I heard last weekend? Sometimes we don't understand the process of God. Sometimes we can't process God's process. Mm-hmm. And I read something else. When you're trying to figure out what God is doing, stop. Just stop, because you're not gonna figure it out. But in not trying to figure it out, we can do the things that, as you've told us years ago. That worship, work, and wait is the thing that you do all at the same time. It's not one. You don't just worship and you don't just work. You got to do each one of those things at the same time. When we're going through stuff, it can add compassion to folks. And some of that work is being out there helping folks while we're working. While we're waiting and while we're honoring the God. Right.
Yeah. Our experiences shouldn't harden us towards other people. And I've seen people, I went through it, so everybody else should go through it too. Builds character. There are some things I want my kids to have character, but there are some things I don't want them to experience that I had to.
That's right. If I came out of school with debt, and I'm able and I can get my kids out of school without no debt, why should I make them have debt? Just because I had debt? That's stupid.
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
There are other ways to build character.
That's right. That's exactly right.
It could be something as, hey, you're in school now. I'll take care of your debt. Get a job, and you pay for whatever. It could be it doesn't have to be that, but you get what I'm saying.
That's right.
If I grew up hungry, living in a 1-bedroom house, doesn't mean I gotta take my kids there and say, hey, come and live in this 2-bedroom townhouse and just
exactly.
There are other ways.
These things are simple. If I have a snowblower, which we do, and I snowblow the driveway, and I know my neighbor doesn't have one, and I got gas in it, why don't I go snowblow their driveway? And I got time to do it. Why don't you just go do it?
Yeah.
Simple little things that mean so much. And it's not that you're looking for anything back. It's just because you went through it, like you just said. Just because I went through it doesn't mean you got to go through it. If I can make sure you don't have to go through it.
Exactly. It's your kids are older than mine, and I'm sure you did it. I do it with mine. It's like, look, some things I'll do for you. Some things we'll do together, because that's going to build your character up and show you that life isn't just you can have what you want when you want it.
That's right. And some things I'll do for, except when you watch me do some things. Some do things I'll do for you. Some things together. It's that story you have about when you and Julian were going upstairs and lights went out. That's a beautiful story. I don't know if folks heard that. I'm not gonna tell it because you tell it better than me. But that's a beautiful story.
Yeah, like we were walking upstairs in the classroom wing, and the lights were out. I knew where I was going. I was like, it's fine. He's like, it's dark. We can't see. I was like, he's like, don't worry, I know where I'm going. He said, well, okay, I can see you. But that level of trust, I may not see it, but I know my dad knows where he's going.
Exactly. And that's a fundamental thread that we can take through our dealings with God, this understanding his process. I don't know where you're taking me, but I mean, Abraham did it. And that's the same thing we're doing with this thing. I know what it's like to be in that position. I can make it so you're not going to be in that position. You'll still learn from it.
Yep.
But just, that it's just simple, and folks need to be more compassionate. You're sitting here talking about compassion and love more than we are today.
Yeah. Was Bishop said about the sun hardened can soften some things. I can't remember the exact phrase. Soften some things. Our experiences should soften us more than harden us. And we can be hard, and it makes us like that towards other people, which means we haven't really been delivered from that thing. But reality is my wounds make me more compassionate because I know what it's like.
That's right.
To X, Y, and Z. It makes it a better answer for other people. Or we can become hard and say, well, I got up on my own. I did it for myself. Right. You don't need no help. I ain't had no help, which is never true. Right. Everybody has help.
Well, my favorite saying, when everybody thinks you got everything, they don't think you need anything. And we all need something, Yep. And, we all need something somewhere, somehow, some way. Right.
Absolutely. So Sid asked the question, though. She said, what gets me is we see humanity failing throughout the Bible. And still, so we should ever think about the end game or just be satisfied to have continuous faith and hope. To me, our hope is always in God. To me, our faith and hope is a journey of, if we're honest, successes and failures. Belief and doubt, times we're moving, times we're afraid. Times we get it right, times we don't. But we journey with God on this process. Journey with God as we grow. And the perfect one is Jesus, and we're slowly conformed to his image over and over again. Right. And Revelation shows us that there's going to be that day where God's going to make it all right. Not saying that failure is okay, but it's just a reality of what we're human beings, we're sinful.
Right.
And we journey with him. And the goal is not to be perfect according to scripture. The goal is to be better, more holy, more mature, perfected as we follow Jesus along the way.
No, that's you're right. I mean, you're right. The question is valid. There's always the failure is there as an example to us that we all fall short of the glory of God, right? The examples of continual failure. But Jesus does come on the scene. And he rectifies that. That allows us to know that I don't have to be that. That doesn't mean about it. And I'm going to fall, but I'm going to get up. And he's going to love me. And God's going to say, what are you talking about? I never saw that because we're saved. And Jesus wiped all that away. But we still have to be, like you said, there'll be times when it's like this. But at the end of the time, that linear line, it should be like this. So when even though you fall, you get back up. But as you get back up, that line is going like that. It's not going like that. Still linear line, even in those ups and downs, but that line through those ups and downs is a straight line up. Not
Yeah,
that.
it's trending up. Yes,
It's trending up. I'm trending
trending
up.
up.
I fall, but I'm trending up.
Yeah, even the dip is still higher than the dips from before.
Exactly.
You're trending
Exactly. You're
up.
trending up. You're trending up. And then that's progress. And then and then when you go through stuff like we go through, and you get these questions too, when folks are, how do you deal with that? I just look back. I don't to go forward, and particularly when things are hard, you look back and see what God has brought you from. You say, okay, well, this is going to work. I don't know how. I might not like it. I might not want to. I might have wanted it differently, but I know it's going to work out if I look back and see what God has brought me from and through.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, so there's that thing. And speaking of people who going through stuff and being hard towards others, Harvard's president resigned a couple weeks ago due to alleged plagiarism. Now, to me, this was like a witch hunt. Because when they went in and they looked at her paper that she had from years ago, if I'm correct, when you write your dissertation for your doctorate, you're writing with your advisor.
Mm-hmm.
So you quote your advisor. So there were certain parts in her paper where you knew she was quoting from her advisor. But I think she forgot to put the quotes there and forgot to cite it. But you knew, that thing does that. But you knew from the paper, you know she's quoting somebody. She's not speaking from herself.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing, one of the guys, I don't know if you heard about it, who was leading the charge over this whole plagiarism thing, come to find out his wife works at MIT and she plagiarized the paper. Now he asked for compassion for his wife, but was running this witch hunt against the Harvard president.
Go ahead to you. I want to hear it.
Running after people. If you're not careful, we'll open up the bones in your own closet.
Yeah.
Because everybody.
I'm sorry to say. No, I'm not sorry to say because I think it's true. She was only president for 6 months. It might have been 9, but I think it was 6. I have no factual basis to make this statement, but I'm sure there are plenty of folks that did not want Harvard to have a person of her background and color. And they won't find a way to get her out from the beginning.
Yep.
I could be wrong, but that's just
no, you're right. You're right. Is that, and then the whole anti-Semitism hearing.
I know what she said. She didn't have to say that. She could have said that differently, but I don't think I don't think folks want her to be president. I don't, just like people didn't want the Barack Obama to see president. Everything. I know that pains him because he thinks a lot of what we're going through today is get back for us having a black president for 8 years. It's just all get back. If it would have been a white president as opposed to him, we wouldn't be in this. He feels this, that we wouldn't be in the state we are today.
Oh yeah.
That's sad.
It is sad. And part of it is not his fault, but it's a reality of a black president caused one group to say, you know what? We got to fight tooth and nail to get back our country.
That's right.
And that's what they did with her. They don't, she's black and she's a woman. So she got those two things. And then, like I said, that hearing was just another reason to go after her more. Right. But the funny thing is now when your wife is the one that got caught, now we pray for compassion, for grace, but you didn't give that same to somebody else. It's just unfortunate circumstance. Just all.
Yeah. They had an article today in the Wall Street Journal about Claudine Gay and how she ascended and how the accusations emerged and everything that you're saying. And then what's next? How is this going to potentially harm? Now, when you say harm and you got $36 billion endowment, what's the harm going to be to the institution? But the perception, because there was a lot of folks that were disappointed with that. Now, she had to resign. The Penn president resigned first, then she resigned, but the MIT president has not resigned. So 2 of the 3 went down. Right.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean that's a shame. So but this goes back to the whole DEI thing. And like you said, they're trying to get rid of
which they already got rid of.
Yeah, which they got rid of all the diversity, inclusive stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
that was their way to get her out of their other people. But people complain about DEI. Was it DIE or DEI? One of them.
DEI, diversity, inclusion, diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm sorry,
They,
DE and I.
they,
Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
nobody asked the question why it needed to be created in the first place. Because my problem is a person of color, if every person of color is seen as an affirmative action hire or DEI hire, why can't it? He or she was qualified.
Yeah.
And they were the best person for the position. The natural assumption is it must have been some affirmative action, which is wrong, which means that you assume that a person of color or a female isn't worthy of the job. Only a white male is.
Right. Well, my assertion would be, Pastor Nick, from personal experience, that in the 30 years I've been working, there were probably in 22 jobs that I've had in 32 years, in over 30 years, is that some of those early hires were in fact D&I hires, but it was an opportunity. But once you get in, then you can show, okay, he knows what he's doing. He's doing the job. So, okay, we're good. But when it came in, it's like, well, we don't know. Is this going to work out? We don't know, because we haven't gone this route before, but it worked out. So that's the benefit of having the affirmative action, that at least allows you the opportunity to get in. And once you get in, it's on you.
Yeah.
It ain't on nobody else. But if you don't even have that opportunity, and that's going to affect my kids and your kids. It's unless we turn it back around, because that's what they're trying to close the access.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
And block people of color, women, etc., from those positions.
That's right.
When the reality is we've seen, and I'm sure you've seen a lot more than I have, underqualified people getting positions over what extremely more qualified people because of the color of their skin or because of their connection. And, and we cannot sit here and act like that's nothing. They've had affirmative action for years. They just didn't call it that. They for years got in because of, whatever, over people way more qualified, but it's okay over there, but it's wrong over here.
That's right. And then, and this happens at the highest level. Folks started talking about the things people make, and the competency is just low. Whether it's legacy or just somebody like the way they play golf, so they're gonna put them in this. It's just certain things that have no basis for happening, but it's just the world we live in. It's unfortunate. We know life isn't fair. We know favor isn't fair also, but that's why we believe in it. But it doesn't make it easy for folks that are coming up and coming out. That's why it's so important, as you and Bishop been talking about, that as you get your education, you go work for somebody else, you always have to be working on that thing you love, that side hustle that can allow you to be your own boss, because if those opportunities are closed, you have to find another way to be able to do what it is you need to do to support yourself and your family.
Yeah, you have to. So, we'll see where it goes, but it looks like you said, the black president caused a wave of
Get back,
overcome everything.
Yeah.
That will allow minorities to get ahead. My question always goes back to, why was it needed in the first place? Obviously, it was needed. And my premise is this: we shouldn't need affirmative action. We shouldn't need DEI. Because why? If everything is on the level playing field and working the way it's supposed to, and people weren't discriminating, then we wouldn't need it. So if you want to eliminate affirmative action, level the playing field. Call it what it is.
That's right.
If this black woman or this black man or this whatever so is more qualified than whoever, cool. Like we just saw the Patriots hired their first black coach, right? Rob Mayo. He's with the Patriots all his career. Belichick. And people talk about like Eric Bieniemy and a few other people. Well, they don't have no experience. And people are like, how many other white coaches that had no experience at all get positions? But guess
You saw it.
but guess
You
what?
saw that.
How else can you get experience unless you have the
That's right.
experience?
Get the position. Have the experience. You got to have the opportunity to get the experience to show that you're capable of doing it. And then you put years and years and years in. And I mean, I've been in places where I've worked for guys that have been in similar roles that I'm in now 10, 15 years ago.
Mhm.
And I'm getting it 10 years after they got it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. So, yeah, I know. But it's real though.
But that doesn't mean you can't. But that's why you have to stay true. You have to stay focused. You have to stay diligent, and know that God's timing is what it is for a reason. And all that, all you will reap what you sow, and you have to have that grounded faith that you're going to be able to get to that next thing if you're really putting the work in.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that we're going to start teaching, we have to start teaching our generation of kids again, because we stopped doing it because some of us kind of bought into the lie of total equality. When we were growing up, we were told you have to work harder, be smarter, be better, 10 times better, right? Just to get a fair shot. Some parents stopped teaching that because they thought, well, things are better now. We need to remind you. And this is why our kids don't know how to respond when these events happen, because they thought everything was equal. We got to start reminding these kids again. You got to work harder. You got to be better, be stronger. You may not like it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and because they didn't grow up in that, a lot of them don't know about the civil rights area. That's why it's important for us that know to make sure they understand the struggle that has perpetuated itself. Yes, we give our kids more than we had. It's just what we do, but they still have to understand the struggle, because as soon as they get out there, it's coming.
Yep,
they're gonna see it. And they don't, and the difference I think in our kids, and I know your kids are still young, is that the acceptance. They're very. I think our kids are more diverse in their engagement. They don't care if somebody's gay or transgender or black or white. They just want to get to it. What are we trying to get accomplished here? But that thing is, it still is there, and you have to make sure that you understand that you're different. Just when you walk in the room, you are different. Just because it's there, you look different, so folks perceive that you are different. But you didn't have to make yourself evident as competent in whatever it is you're engaging in.
Yeah, you got to shine. It's a part of. I'm sure your parents told you. Mine told me.
It gets tiring.
It does get tiring. I thought I wouldn't have to teach my kids, hey, opportunities are going to be different for you.
Yeah.
Your A is going to be equivalent to somebody else's B. And you have to, excel differently in this country. It just, I think Trayvon Martin really showed that again, to realize that, we have to teach our children again the stuff we learned. Being pulled over, this is what you do. You go into a store,
what you do.
This is
what you do.
I can't even walk into a store with my hands in my pockets. I'm so trained. Don't put your hands in your pocket. They think you're gonna steal. If I do, I take them right out. It's so ingrained.
Yeah. I was in a store last week and I had somebody follow me, and I was like, I'm thinking about you ain't know me, and I'm looking at you, so I know you in a way that you don't know me, but you follow me around. I should probably be following you around the store. But it's just what it is. It's not going on. My father used to call it the black tax. Just what it is. It's just a tax for being black. What it is. So deal with it. Don't ask. Just deal with it. Just like any other tax.
One time I said something. It got on my nerves so much. I said, I'm gonna leave. This person, I don't feel comfortable. But it got to the point I was thrown off. It was. But
I catch somebody on the wrong day. You caught you on the wrong day. You had to go in on it.
I don't feel comfortable here. X, Y, and Z don't want me. It's fine. But I remember one time I was in Texas, and I was just walking in the mall in Nordstrom, wasn't buying, just looking around, and a black guy was following me around, and part of me wanted to turn around, but I was in a different state. I'm like, I'm not home. I don't know a lot of people here, and I literally was going to turn around like, bruh, of all people, you should understand.
Yeah.
You caught me on a good day, but
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's just
So
the way
glad
it is,
y'all.
man. It's just the way
Right.
it is.
Yeah. So glad y'all joined us today. We're getting ready to get up out of here for another episode of On Point. So glad you joined us just for this particular time on StreamYard. We couldn't be in our regular setup because of the weather and people getting here. Folks are still out shoveling this morning. But again, we're just so glad you joined us today. Don't forget, tomorrow we have service, 8 a.m. our virtual experience. 11 a.m. we are in person. We'd love for you to check us out at 8 o'clock online. Come on, be with us in person tomorrow at 11 o'clock service. We should plow the parking lot and everything. Make sure you're safe while you're in the building coming up here tomorrow. So please join us as we continue in this great lesson on Lord, break my heart for what breaks yours. We're believing God for a tremendous time tomorrow of worship, praise, thanksgiving, souls being saved, healing, deliverance, all that. And we're trusting and believing that God is continuing to do the work that he is doing. So join us tomorrow for service at 11 a.m. Of course, we no longer require COVID vaccinations. Masks are optional. We have Bible study at 12 noon on Wednesday, as well as at 7 p.m. So join us for Bible study this coming Wednesday. Of course, if you're interested in receiving Bethany news updates, text BBC News to 28950. Again, text BBC News to 28950. To receive devotional messages, text BBC Elevate to 28950. You can email your prayer request to social@gotobethany.com. Again, that is social@gotobethany.com. Email us your prayer requests. We'd love to pray with you and for you. And of course, subscribe to David G. Evans 1 and BBC Event J on all of our platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all that. Check us out during the course of the week. And we appreciate all of you for coming on today. Reverend Rich, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
It's good to see you. It's good to see you. And see you tomorrow. Can I say that, I know you didn't forget. I just want to add in, we got a birthday coming up this week.
Yes.
We got our Go ahead.
Bishop's birthday. We're doing an offering tomorrow. His birthday is on Thursday, the 25th. We're taking up an offering for his birthday tomorrow, as well as next Sunday if you're unable to do tomorrow. We're asking for $1 per year. That's $72. We want to be able to be a blessing to him. If you can do more, do more. If you can't do the 72, do the best that you can. But we have the greatest pastor in the world, the hardest work, like James Brown, the hardest working man. You can't call it show business, but in ministry. So we want to be a blessing to him. Birthday's on Thursday. Get a card, sow into his life and bless him. He gives up a whole lot personally to make sure he is here to pastor us, teach to us, preach to us. And we thank God for his life. And thank God that he's still rolling at 72 years old. Slowing down at all. Still moving. So we can honor to whom honor is due. And
that's right. So
we'll do that tomorrow. If you can't unable to do anything tomorrow, we're going to do it again on the 28th, the following Sunday. And I think that is everything.
All right.
On behalf of Bishop David G. Evans, remember, faith acts like a thing is so, even when it's not so, that it might be so. God bless y'all. We'll see y'all next Saturday for another episode of On Point at 9 o'clock. See y'all.